Something I praised the Drug Wars update for was that the Acid Lab, a new business at the time, was very easy for a new player to get started with. In fact, I was actually really on board with the idea of making things from that point forward very easy for new players to get into. And that applies here. Something I'm going to praise the Chop Shop update for is the fact that there's a new heist now that any player, yes, anyone going from like a low level could just jump into. They were able to get started with. There was no buy-in, there was no paywall. All he had to do was complete a series of missions and they would get a decent amount of money for their time. And I hope that this is the start of a new trend because this is something that GTA Online has needed for a long time. So I figured what better way to contribute than to make a guide breaking down all of the stuff into simple, easy to follow steps. There are some nuances with this heist. A lot of it is straightforward, but there is some things that the game doesn't tell you, or at least doesn't make entirely clear. So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to break down all the nuances that a new player is going to need to know, while also clarifying some things that may seem complicated at first. So, without further ado, let's complete the Cluckin Bell farm raid. The first mission is probably the easiest of the bunch. All you have to do is go to a set number of locations and steal a bunch of cash from the warehouses. Now, the locations are going to scale depending on how many players you have active on the mission. For instance, if it's just you, or if it's you and one other player, you'll have to go to two locations. Now, if you have another player, you could easily split up and take each of the locations, and this would make it go a lot quicker, but this isn't entirely necessary. So, I'm not going to focus on breaking into the businesses. I trust you're smart enough to figure that out. What I will say is that you could actually do this entirely solo or with one other person, and that will probably be the most optimal way to do this. The second mission gets a little bit more complicated, but the execution here is simple. So starting off with this second mission, there's going to be two locations you need to go to. One of them has a laptop that you need to steal. The other has a terabyte that you're going to break into and steal a hacking device from. When you go to find the laptop, the game's going to have a few different spawns. Now, a lot of people say to memorize the different spawns, but we don't do that here. So I'm going to tell you the best way to do this that I found is to go into the middle of the area, just start making a bunch of noise. What'll happen is that you'll spook the guy carrying the laptop, he'll run, and it'll also mark on the map where you need to look. And as for the laptop, you can't miss it. You know it when you'll see it. And as for the terabyte, what's going to happen is once you approach the truck, you'll see a bunch of drones start to spawn. Now, all you need to do is take out a weapon and shoot a bunch of these drones, but I found the best way is to use an explosive shotgun. Now, if you're a new player, you most likely won't have this, in which case, any weapon really will work. Just make sure you don't get tased or shot up, because that can happen. The hacking device will be right inside. And as for the second half of the mission, all you need to do is go to the location, kill a bunch of guards. One of them will have the keys. Once you have the keys, just run to the train. And as you're going down the tracks, you're going to have to press right D-pad on some of these signals. But the game tells you exactly what to do. It's really not that complicated. Just make sure you don't let the train get to a complete stop, because you will get shot up by these turrets. Now, the third and fourth missions are where things really get complicated, but basically, for each of these two missions, there's going to be three locations. All right, location A is very simple, but the tools you'll get out of them won't be anything that special. Location C is something really high end, like you'll get the best weapons or the best vehicles, but they'll be a lot harder to get to. And then location B is somewhere in the middle. Nothing really that special, but it'll be better than what you'll get from location A. So, for instance, for the weapons, what you get from location A is a compact rifle, a silenced pistol, and a mini SMG. Location B gives you a heavy rifle, a heavy shotgun, and I believe a tactical SMG. Location C gives you an MG. Yes, a regular MG, not a combat MG, sadly. And basically, you get the idea. Each location gives you a different level of weapons and vehicles. Like, the first location for vehicles is just like a bunch of lowriders, which is going to be a pain to drive on the finale, but it has the closest location to the actual factory, so depending on how you're playing, it might fit you better. And personally, I've actually kind of preferred using the compact rifle over the MG. So it really is going to boil down to preference, what you personally want to go with here. All of these locations have decent gear most of the time. Like, you're really not going to you're not going to notice that much of a difference. It all basically boils down to what you would rather have. Like, would you rather skip out on a vehicle and go for better weapons? Would you rather skip out on the weapons and have a better escape vehicle? Would you rather sacrifice both to make a quicker run? Or would you rather go all out on all of them to eliminate any possibility of failing? It really just boils down to what you personally want to go for. Honestly, you're good with any of these. It is worth noting, though, two things. One, the armor location A gives you is not going to be that good. Like, you're going to have to snack up a lot on the finale if you go for the armor at location A. Whereas location C, it's going to be a lot worse for stealth because, yeah, you'll have more health, but you're going to run a lot slower and you're not going to have as much stamina. So just, read the description that Vincent gives you. It pretty much nails down what exactly each spot does. And it's also worth mentioning that let's say in this mission specifically for the gear and weapons, let's say you decide to go for location A. Well, location A in mission 4 is going to be alerted to your presence a lot quicker. Basically, it helps to try to pick different locations for each mission. Like, my personal strat that I like to use is I'll go for location uh, B for its vehicle, but I'll go to location C for the weapons because I personally prefer location C's weapons and armor. So it really is just going to boil down to preference and whether or not you feel up to hitting the same location twice. Okay, that was a mouthful. Basically, to keep it simple, all you want to do is make sure you don't hit the same location twice between the two missions. So let's say in the mission where you grab the armor, you decide to hit location C. Just don't hit location C when you're grabbing the vehicle. Mix it up if you want to make it easier on yourself. If you feel up to it, you can hit both. It's just going to be a little bit harder when you do. That's all. Okay, so once you've got the weapons that you want, go ahead and confirm them via the text Vincent sends you. Just open the text, this menu will pop up, and it'll ask you to confirm the weapons and gear you want to use. Now, when you source a vehicle, this will work very much a similar way, except this time with the vehicles, you can only select one of them. And what'll happen is if you source more than one vehicle, you can actually get like ten to $20,000 at the end of that mission, which isn't a lot. It's up to you whether or not you want to do that, but if you are new to the game, every bit helps, right? So I guess it's up to you whether or not you want to go for that. Now, before we move on to the finale, there's one more mission that we have to do, and this is the most complicated one. And it's also the one where it's going to determine how the finale is going to play out. This mission alone determines whether you play the heist in loud or in stealth. So you're going to have to hack these two vans, and they will give you the location for the warehouse. And when you get to the warehouse, there's two main objectives and then one objective depending on whether or not you're spotted, but most often you will probably get spotted. So the two main objectives are to find a key card and to sabotage the trucks. Now, sabotaging the trucks is really simple. You just walk up to them and you press right on the D-pad. Now, drilling the boxes, you'll have to go around and look for a power drill. Once you find a power drill, it's pretty much random. You're going to find the key card in one of these. You can keep drilling them if you want, but the only reward you'll get is like a few $1,000s. So whether or not you want to drill all of them depends on whether or not you want to do that. Now, if you get spotted by any of the guards, you will have to take out any of the witnesses. Thankfully, that's not really that hard. All you'll have to do is go around and kill everyone and make sure like none of the witnesses are left. But honestly, that part's pretty simple. Just make sure you take them all out in time and you'll be fine. And then once you're done there, if you manage to maintain stealth, you will have to tow a truck. But before you do that, and this part is very important, make sure to wipe the CCTV. If you don't do that, then you will have to do the finale in loud. Okay, if you followed everything up to this point, you can now complete the finale for the Clucking Bell raid. And honestly, it's not that complicated. You only have two objectives. That is to steal all of the cocaine scattered between two specific rooms, and to steal the contents of a vault. I forget what exactly it is. Either way, there's only two main objectives, and then when you leave, it's just a matter of getting to your car and driving away. And the wanted level isn't very hard to lose either. You'll only have 3 stars by the time you make it halfway across the map. Now, if you completed this heist so far and you managed to make it into the stealth finale, then you'll be smuggled in via a crate. You just have to kill a few guards, make your way to the warehouse areas. I guess these are just rooms in the factory. And you just have to open the crates. Now, if you have loadout A from the mission before, you'll have a crowbar by default. If not, don't worry. There's a crowbar in one of the warehouse rooms. You'll find it. And as for the cocaine, you'll just steal that. And then once you have that, you'll be expected to break into a safe. The mission gives you the hacking device from before, and you just go up to the computers, follow the hacking device to them, and once you have all three, open the safe. And then once you have that, it's just a matter of making it to your vehicle. Now, you'll see a few guards roaming around. Just be careful which ones you kill. You will probably make a mistake the first few times playing this, but eventually you'll get the pattern in your head of where all the guards are. It's not that hard to figure out. Now, you don't have to follow the exact route that I do when you're escaping, but generally speaking, you want to try to follow the tracks because these tracks lead directly to and from the factory through the desert and into the city. And cops don't usually spawn on these tracks either, so once you get far enough away and you start losing your wanted level, generally speaking, try to stick to the hills, stay on the train tracks, whatever you need to do. Just lose your 3 star wanted level, and then you're free to head right back to the lockup. And that's about it. You've just completed the Cluckin Bell Farm raid. This is by far one of the best additions I've seen for getting started in the game. And GTA Online desperately needed something this good for beginners. Kaio was okay, but again, I don't like Kaio because of how dependent it was on RNG. In this case, it's very straightforward, and it's a very easy way to make a good amount of money. I'm sure there will be plenty of bugs and glitches with this in the future, just like there always unfortunately is, but for what it is, I can definitely appreciate this, and that's about all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this guide helpful. Subscribe to see the other stuff I've made, and that's it. I'm out.